So we are joined all the way from Roseville, California, by the Dragon Lady herself, the one and only black female to ever fly the U-2 spy plane. Uh, Navy vet, Air Force vet, retired Colonel Merrill Tengesdal. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today out there on the early West Coast morning. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School. This is our college and career readiness class. We're in the supply chain and transportation career cluster. We've also got Miss Adrian King, our U.S. history teacher, online live with us, and also going to have Sergeant Anthony Smith and Lieutenant Colonel Jennifer Espos Francisco, our Army JROTC instructors, and our journalism teacher, Staff Sergeant Monica Williams, joining us from their classes as well. And we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County schools: Madison Central, Rosa Scott, Germantown High School, Ridgeland High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So we thank you so much for getting up early out there on the West Coast and joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. You said a lot just now. Do you teach like that? 'Cause that's amazing. This energy you have is awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. Miss King always jokes that everybody doesn't have the personality to be able to interview people like this, but I'm glad she's able to be a part of this today. But obviously, we want to talk about all the cool things you've done in the military and all the great aviation careers that you are just so passionate about getting young people in. But just tell us about your background because you're originally from the Bronx in New York City. Uh, Not exactly the easiest place to grow up in the world, but you still went to the University of New Haven and got a degree in electrical engineering.
Yeah, so born and raised in the Bronx, back in the 70s. The place called Co-op City, which is like right off of I-95 in the Northeast Bronx. But since the age of 7, I wanted to fly. I watched way too much science fiction, and I decided that I wanted to boldly go like Captain Kirk and the crew of the Enterprise. And I figured out at that age that um, they all went to Starfleet Academy, so I had to go to college, do well in math and science. And then I said, I got to fly planes before I could fly the space shuttle. So I used their the science fiction model of Star Trek to inform what I was going to do in life. And the cool part about it is that that show, whatever they went through, any challenges, they were able to not only figure it out, but they would take past experiences that they had and in their tool belt of life and be able to apply it to that. So for some reason at 7, I was like, okay, whatever I do, whatever challenges that I take on, it's just going to be something that's going to inform me later when I go into space. So that's how I look at life, no matter how hard it gets. It's something that's going to inform me later.
Yeah, and also you were a college athlete. You played basketball there at the University of New Haven. They've recently gone to D1, which is pretty cool. But we have a few athletes in here, and for those that want to be athletes in college, I think it's important to understand that to be a great student and to be a great athlete, you've got to have that time management. You've got to learn to uphold commitments. You can't just skip practice because you're tired. We had a basketball game last night, and we got a couple that didn't want to come to school today. So when you're a college athlete, that's not something you can do.
No, not at all. I mean, yeah, it was D2 at the time, so congratulations for UNH for going D1. Um, I was a walk-on. I played basketball in high school. I did softball in high school. And yeah, you definitely have to be able to manage those times. You have deadlines. You can't just blow them off. And if you're tired after playing a game, look, as we say in the military, suck it up. Like go to school and really get that education. High school is the minimum that you need to really be successful. Get that either that GED or that high school education because there's such a huge gap, even if between those who get their high school education to those who don't. And the pay gap is huge, huge. Like it is a showstopper for most people in life. Even if you want to be an entrepreneur, it's hard to do that. So because you don't develop the basic skills. Like I have my daughter right now, she's 11, and it's like you have to build these habits, and if you don't, it is going to be exponentially difficult for you as an adult.
Big time. Now, while you were at New Haven, you got your degree in electrical engineering. You were in ROTC there at New Haven, and we have great ROTC programs here in Mississippi. Jackson State has Army and Air Force ROTC. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, they all have great ROTC programs, which can lead you to join the military after college to go in to OCS and become an officer. Now, like I told you before we started recording, we have several alums that are active duty military right now. And I've had several kids over the years that I've kind of suggested the military to because honestly, I thought they would do well at it. But I think a big misconception about military life is kids see the movies. You know, we all saw Full Metal Jacket, and they're like, "Well, I don't want people yelling at me. I don't want to cut my hair. You know, it's too hard. I don't want to get shot at." And we know and we watch movies like American Sniper and they're kicking doors down and blowing stuff up and that is just such a small part of actual military life. Obviously, you had a combat role and you've flown two types of helicopters and four types of airplanes, which is pretty awesome in itself. But there are so many people in the military that are needed that aren't in combat roles, and it is amazing the kind of future you can build for yourself, the type of skills you can get, and then the jobs in the civilian world that can lead to from having a great military career. So if kids are kind of on the fence about, yeah, the military, but I don't want to get blown up and I don't want to jump out of airplanes and I don't want to kick doors down, or, you know, if you want to do all that, they can obviously find a place for you. But it's not just what you see on the movies and TV.
Right. So movies and TVs sensationalize a lot of things, right? They make it more dramatic because it keeps our interest. So let's put that into the whole thing, what I'm about to say. Look, the military does what the military does. We have a job. We promote democracy abroad by doing things. Some people want to be that those doing things can range on the tip of the spear from being actual the person that puts rounds on targets, flies the aircraft, or those that are support, that are doing finance, that are fueling the vehicles, that are maintaining the aircraft. And so understand, I always tell people like no nonsense. You join the military, you might find yourself in a situation where you're going to hear rounds and mortar rounds and stuff. You might do that, but that's the job of the military. But the cool thing about it is that you're with a group of people that have a shared mission, a shared goal. And quite frankly, I always wanted to be a pilot, but I knew that if I wasn't a pilot, I was going to spend at least 4 years in the military doing something, serving my country, understanding that what we have here, even now with the political tension, um, the opposing views, the very diverse views, things that are happening politically in certain cities, we still have some good things going on that people still want to come here. We have some freedoms
Absolutely.
here. We have some freedoms here that other countries will probably never have. There are people in their lifetime that are boxed into a situation where they can never become a pilot because of their gender. They can never do. They are held in a box. At least here in the United States, we have options. And I want to continue to see us still have options. We are definitely not perfect in any means right now, and you can take that on either side as you want. But we
Yeah.
got to keep fighting for those freedoms to have the options to do what we want to do. And so um, that's the beauty of this. It is a privilege to be born here, and we're gonna have to fight for it. And as these generations, as we go down the line in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see how much we're going to fight for it. And, for your students out there, be ready and figure out how you're going to do your part to support or uplift or make things better for those who come after you.
Yeah, and the thing that always gets overlooked is the benefits of joining the military because, like you said, you don't have to do 23 years like you did. You can do those 4, 5, 6 years. You can go get that degree for free. You can get certifications to do unbelievable civilian jobs because they always say any civilian job, you can learn how to do it in the military and you're not paying a dime. They're paying you. And then at the end of it, you're going to have veteran status in the interview.
Yeah, so I always say you're not paying for it, but you're paying with time. So
Okay,
like
there you go.
you are
Yeah,
paying
there you
with
go.
time. So I tell people like listen, I know the young crowd right now is like, I want to make money, I want to make money. As you get older, and you have more time behind you than in front of you, you're going to realize that time is the most
Yeah.
critical thing. And how you manage that by being disciplined, by getting up, by doing the stuff, by not pushing it, by not missing deadlines, by getting up even when you're tired becomes very important. And in the military, they'll teach you those skills. And they may yell at you. They look, I was an officer. I started as an ensign. The first 3 months of me being an officer candidate school, I had a drill instructor that looked like Louis Gossett Jr. that screamed at me on a daily basis and told me how much of a slimy civilian I was. And the whole other 20 something to 30 something students in my class. And in 90 days, we became officers. But
Awesome.
it was through fire and brimstone. And if it's something that you want so bad, then someone yelling at you is not going to make much of a difference. It shouldn't deter you. If you're kind of going, oh, I don't want to be yelled at and it hurts my ego, then you need to maybe think about going into work by yourself or being an entrepreneur. And even then, you have to satisfy the customer who may yell at you. So get used to it. Get used to people not being happy. Get used to people being upset with you. Get used to people yelling at you. Have the thick skin to say, okay, maybe it's not me, it's them, or maybe I really messed up, take accountability and move on. It's okay. It's all right. But yeah, it'll happen in the military at a lot of levels. And so it's how you deal with that on the back end that shows the type of person you are. If you shut down and you don't want to show up, you know, that tells that tells people something about you. That says that when the stress hits, you can't do it. But if you're playing basketball and you're under pressure and you got 2 seconds to do the shot, you're gonna make it, you're gonna miss it. Like if someone yells at you, are you gonna make it back, come back, or are you gonna miss it and just disappear? Like that tells
That's
you how resilient you are. So um, I'm not saying life is perfect and people are not perfect. People are under a lot of stress right now, but it's how you deal with the situation that will make you stand out amongst other people.
Yeah, and the thing is, at the end of the day, every branch of the military wants you to succeed. They're not trying to
Absolutely.
make people quit. They're trying to move them on. Now, along those, you didn't just make it. You became one of one. You are still the only black female and one of only four black individuals and one of only five women to ever go up in the U-2 spy plane, which if the people don't know, as the reconnaissance plane that has been in the air for over 60 years, but you go when you fly these missions up to 12 miles above the Earth's surface at the edges of outer space, and just thinking about it, and I've seen some of the pictures from the flights, and I get dizzy just seeing it. So, and obviously, it's not something that just anybody can do. It's an unbelievable training, unbelievable toll on your body. And you've said there are so many people that go into these missions, not just the pilots. There's people on the ground. There's a lot of mechanics. There's physiological people. There's commanders, and then our own Lieutenant Colonel Francisco, she was an intelligence officer. So there's a lot of people that go into this, but just tell us about that experience. And and you said in the interview, I was up there and I just couldn't believe a girl from the Bronx was looking at the world that I existed on from this perspective, and getting to see shooting stars and just such an incredible perspective. And you talk about it in your book as well. So just tell us about that experience and what exactly a U-2 pilot does.
Okay, so lots of questions in that statement. So the U-2 spy plane is an intelligence surveillance reconnaissance aircraft. It does its mission at or above 70,000 feet, which is twice the altitude of an airliner. We have no weapons on the aircraft. We have sensors. So we're like the eyes in the sky. We're like the angels above. We take data, imagery, and signals on board our aircraft. We send it out to a
Wow.
distributed ground station with a whole bunch of intel officers who analyze, take that information, and send it in near real time to the end user, which is either the people on the battlefield, three-letter agencies, which we won't get into, but that's what we do. And we do that surveillance typically 24 hours a day. This aircraft has been flying since 1955. It was designed by Kelly Johnson, who was part of Lockheed Martin.
Yep.
And so this aircraft was designed to fly as high as possible to spy on Russia and China. and during the Cold War, and really to gaslight them to tell them that we weren't flying because we were so high out of radar range. Because radar coverage typically to ID an aircraft usually goes to 60,000 feet. So this aircraft goes above that. And so we've been flying it for over 70 years, and it was actually supposed to go away last year. There are some aircraft starting to go to the boneyard, but they're still flying the aircraft.
Wow.
To to date, there has been 1,117 pilots. My understanding is they're training the last two, perhaps. And during the 70 years, there's been about, I'll say about 10 people of color, 12 women, so I'm the only one. And so this aircraft is a single seat. It is highly difficult to land because it doesn't have a tricycle landing gear configuration, it has a bicycle landing gear configuration. That means there's a skateboard wheel in the back, and you actually have to stall this aircraft at 2 feet. So imagine being in a pressure suit, because we wear a pressure suit that's basically a spacesuit that keeps us alive above 63,000 feet, coming back after a long, anywhere from 8 to 12 plus hour mission and landing this aircraft, installing it. So it becomes very difficult. It puts our body under a lot of physiological stress. I
Wow.
look I look fine, but I have a lot of titanium in me that I set off metal detectors at airports. So um, so that is what's interesting about the aircraft. And because it's single seat, they always think the pilot is the cool one, but we have so many people behind us, whether it's maintenance, whether it's the weather folks, and there is a weather category in the military that you could be a weather
Yeah.
analyst.
Yeah,
Um,
actually, and not to cut you off, but the only
yes,
meteorological school in the military is in Mississippi, in Biloxi at
yes,
Keesler Air
in
Force Base.
Biloxi. Yep, in
Yep.
Biloxi, Mississippi. So, you have your physiological folks, the ones that maintain the suits, the ones that make sure we do the chamber rides, the ones that make sure I eat, the ones who clean my suit after a long mission. And so, you have those people, you have the wrench turners from avionic technicians to mechanics to the electricians. So, it's it's highly involved, hundreds of people to get one aircraft up to have this going on 24 hours a day. And so, and last but not least, I love the finance people because I got to get paid on time. Absolutely. So, so that's the mission in a nutshell. We've been flying it forever. We don't have weapons on this particular aircraft, and I just love it. I love the fact that we do reconnaissance. I love the fact that I could talk to the ground troops when I was doing missions for Operation Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom. Um, it was just great. It was a blast. It was something I got to do, and the being up at that altitude, seeing the Earth from that perspective. Um, how can I explain it? It's one of those things that most people in their lifetime will never see. The fact that at nighttime you see unlimited stars like you're in a planetarium. Um,
Wow.
you see, you know, you'll see planets, you'll see other than satellites. You'll wonder if stars, the light that you're seeing, is that star still in existence?
Wow.
Because light travel. I did have a shooting star one time go from right to left under my aircraft. I and that was the perspective that I saw. Um, seeing the curvature of the earth, seeing the sky turn darker as you go higher. Um, for all
Wow.
those people who think the earth is flat out there, I hope these students don't think that. It's not. I've seen it many times. It is not flat. If you think so, we will fight with words easily. Physics
Yeah, we
tells
just
us
need to
that.
tell Kyrie Irving and some of these flat earthers. Now,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
Kyrie.
now, obviously, and you've said yourself, even people in aviation, the U-2 spy plane is not for everybody. But you are very vocal about we need more young people in aviation. We're about to have a huge pilot shortage. We need flight attendants. We need flight mechanics. We need people on the ramps. And then something that I think people don't know, UPS is actually the seventh largest airline in the world, and they don't even carry customers. So we need young people to get into transportation to move things, to move people, to move cargo. And I know you're very involved with Sisters of the Skies, which is a great nonprofit organization that helps females, especially minority females, get into aviation. So just talk about some of these careers that are needed in aviation that these young people should consider.
Yeah, so like you said, all of them. So let me, in perspective, or let me give you some numbers from 2021 that I had known. Less than 0.2% of women of color fly aircraft, either military or commercial. These numbers are the same. For women, 6 to 7%. For people of color overall, I think it's less than 6%. There's not a lot of people who look like me that are flying at all. And those numbers go into the maintenance fields. If you're doing the civilian side, the dispatchers, the schedulers, there are not a lot. And these are jobs that are critical. These are jobs that are changing. These are jobs that, even with AI that may streamline certain processes, may change certain processes, you're still going to need those people. It's going to be a long time before a commercial airliner has no pilot in the cockpit because we want someone who has as much skin as in the game as people who are flying it going to a destination. So we need those people. We need helicopter pilots. We need people in the business field. So I love talking about my experiences, and most people that are most people in that look like me don't even realize that this is a possibility for them. And I'm here to tell you it is. And I'm here to tell you having a high school education and going into a community college, which is an excellent idea for those who say, I don't want to go to a 4-year college, then go to a community college. Number one, it's free. Number two, you learn a skill. Right now, I'm a board member at my local community college, Sierra College. I take welding classes. I'm 4 classes shy of getting my associates in welding.
That's
I've got
awesome.
I got my certificates. I could stick weld, I could MIG, I could TIG a little bit because I haven't taken those classes yet. But I got certified in doing vertical, overhead, all these things at this age, and it's a great skill to have. They start out making anywhere from 23 to $27 an hour, and that goes up very quickly from a journeyman on. So much so that I leveraged my ambassadorship with Carhartt to give boots and clothes to people who don't have the money to afford that, because boots are expensive. If you have steel
Yeah.
tip boots, like $250 a pop. But going to a community college, learning a skill, learning how to turn a wrench, getting your AMP license, being a scheduler, those are things that people need. And those are skills that will keep on giving and allow you the flexibility to do what you want to do. Look, in life, we always want to get money, and people want to get money to be rich. But think of it this way, money gives you options. The more money you have, the more options you have. The more skills that you have, the more options you have. And the
There you
more you
go.
see that if you could do this on your own, build a business. Building a business gives you tons of options, tax breaks, being an entrepreneur, being a small business, but it requires discipline, getting up on time, doing the hard things like going to school after a game, and working relentlessly and being consistent and persistent in what you want to do. So if you're out there saying, well, I don't want to work at a job, then if you're going to run your own business and you work for yourself, you better be ready to do it even when you're tired all day, every day. Because if you don't, someone
Yeah.
else will.
Yeah.
Imagine thousands of me running around at your age, and they're out there. There are
Yeah.
kids that want it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned about the community college. We actually have a community college here in the area that has an aviation program. They have their own training airport, Hines Community College, and then Delta State University in Mississippi also has a degree in aviation. So they have a great partnership with Hines. They can get the associates there, and then they can go on and get the bachelor's there at Delta State, and it takes care of a lot of that pilot training.
I have a question for you. Does your community college work with the high schools so high schools can dual enroll? And
Yep.
if
Yep.
you're not taking advantage of that right now, dual enrollment, depending on what year you're in, if you're a sophomore and you're able to do it, or if you missed it and do it next year, do dual enrollment. There is nothing better than going to a community college already with the first year of college under your belt. it is number one, it speeds you up to get your certifications or get your associate's degree. It costs less money. You are more skilled to get more money, and it's a win-win. And if you want to go on to college, the number one, most community colleges have a bridge program with the four-year colleges, at least here in this area. I'm not sure there. But also, in addition to that, if you finish a community college and get your certification or associate, the odds of you finishing a four-year degree go up quite a bit because you're already focused and disciplined in what you want to do. So why not
Yeah.
take? There are so many advantages, man. If I had this in high school, I would have been out by 10th grade. Like I would have been go.
Well, I do have some questions from the students, and Miss King, Miss Williams, if y'all have any questions, put them in the chat. But this is Alexander Harris. He's in ninth grade, a member of our JROTC program here at Velma Jackson. And he asked, how long did it take your body to adjust to flying at that altitude? And were you scared the first time you went up?
How long did it take? It didn't take very long. Remember, I was flying for quite a while, so the real physiological stuff is going up a little higher, 20,000, 100% oxygen on the body. You need 100% oxygen in the military, 10,000 feet. In the civilian world, there's different rules depending on what you're flying. Flying in the U-2, it didn't take very long. I did my first flight. I did 7 flights, did my solo, and then I did my first high flight. So it didn't take much. It's getting used to the suit because it's so bulky and it makes you sweat a lot. So it took about 2 flights to get
Wow,
kind of comfortable. But flying in general, when you start in flight school, when you get G's put on your body, it just takes a little bit getting used to. Like you can't G lock. So, what was the second part of that question?
were you scared the first time you went up?
Absolutely not. No, I loved it. Like flying for me, flying, the only time I was nervous was I was about 17. I had never done roller coaster rides. So I said, man, I have to do a roller coaster ride to go upside down to see if I even like this. And then I did, and I was like, oh, what was I nervous about? But when I was in the aircraft, the first time as a student, at the end of our flight, my instructor said, hey, what do you want to see? And I was like, I want to do inverted flight. Just let's fly upside down. And I laughed because he was a little annoyed with me, but I realized why later on. Inverted flight in an aircraft, number one, some aircraft can't do it because you drain the oil fluid from the sump system. And so you're limited in how long you could do it for before you stall the engine out. So, but he did it anyway, and I loved it. I loved every part of it, the G's, every like I was born to be in the sky. That's a fact.
That's awesome. Well, I got time for two more. This is Corbin Smith. He's in ninth grade or 10th grade. He's also a member of our Army JROTC here. And he asked, what's the number one thing that goes through your head while you're that high off the ground?
It depends on the phase of flight I'm in. If I just take off, if I'm doing a training mission, and say if I'm over in Northern California, once I'm not talking to anyone and I set my autopilot for the waypoints and I have a moment to think, I put my hands right here because this is how small the aircraft is, and I go, man, this is cool. Uh, I'm probably the highest person today flying over the Earth, unless there's someone at the International Space Station, and I appreciate life as it is. And I love the silence. I love being in my own thoughts. That does not scare me like it scares some. Being alone with who you are, you have no choice but to face who you are and be honest with yourself. And so I enjoyed those times. Those times are where I can really think and deep dive into the person who I am.
That's awesome. Well, we do have a question from another class come in, and I know you've put a lot on social media about your faith, but this is coming from Samaya Williams, a senior here, getting ready to graduate, our starting point guard on the basketball team. So she played last night, and she's at school, so she did a great job of that. She's an excellent student. Uh, but
Nice
she
job.
asked, but she asked, when you were doing this, was this a spiritual choice, or was this just something to do to be the first to do it?
Neither. I never, in life, I've never set out to do anything to be the first. When I flew U-2s, I came from a community where I flew helicopters. I was an instructor flying new students for about 4 years. And I saw this aircraft is something that my dream was to fly as high as possible, to go into space. This
Wow.
wasn't about being the first of it. I didn't even know I was the first. The only
Wow.
time, yeah, the only time I knew that happened was when I soloed in the aircraft. That was the only time. I came out of my solo. I walked in. There was a civilian, good friend of mine. His name is Mo. We're still friends to this day. He walked up to me. He's like, "You know, you're the first." And I go, "No." And he's like, "Yeah." And he walks away because he knew the gravity. But for me, it was being with a brother and sisterhood of people. It was flying the mission. It was serving my country. These other things that happened to me is just a byproduct of
That's
the
awesome.
fact that I'm doing what I love and I'm doing what I believe in. Is it spiritual? No, it's just this is something within me that I've always wanted to do. The passion that I've had going into space to explore, to boldly go, to take on challenges, to be the best in that, even if I fail the first time. That is who I am. Nothing more.
That's incredible. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for joining us today. But a couple things before we go. First of all, we got your book here, Shattered the Sky. I'm gonna get it on the camera. Shadow the Sky, unbelievable read. It's on your website, merrilltengesdal.com. Encourage everybody to check it out. And it's very, and like you said, it's very easy to read. It's a bunch of short chapters about reflections of your life. Um, and then also we've got your graphic here, your graphic book that I've enjoyed, and I appreciate you signing it for me to send us here at Velma Jackson. Both really cool, and all that's on your website. All of your social media is on there. Great follow, and I encourage everybody to go to YouTube and find your clips from Tough as Nails. We didn't even get a chance to talk about your reality TV career, but you were a contestant on the reality show Tough as Nails as well. A lot of stuff on there, but as we get ready to wrap up here, you said yourself you didn't know you were the first, but something I always say is you can be the first at something, but just because you're the first doesn't mean you can't be the best at it. Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it can't happen for you. There has never been a better time than right now to make something out of your life. And look, and I'll be the first to say it. People cannot help where they're born. People cannot help the color of their skin. They cannot help who their parents are, but they have so much control about the direction their life goes by making the right decisions and putting in the more work than anybody else. And even if the military isn't in their future, obviously, not a whole lot of people can handle a U-2 spy plane, but at the end of the day, everybody can be successful. So you're a perfect example of it's not where you start, it's where you finish. So as these kids get ready to start transitioning through high school, start making decisions about what they want to do afterwards, what is the best thing they can do to overcome these obstacles that they're going to face no matter what happens?
Number one, don't be afraid. Like, if it scares you, like college scares me, then go do it. Just go do it. Like it is it is that part which is like even if you fail at it, get up again and go do it. Even if you can't read the best, start reading a book. Like these are the things, just keep hitting at it. Just keep going at it, no matter what your family, because I'm sure a lot of people got family members in their head talking to them about what they should be doing. Do what you feel will make you the happiest
There you go.
and do it. And if you hate it, like I'll say, like Mike Tyson, do it like you love it every day. Do it silently. You don't have to tell the world. Put your head down and get to work. And just, I don't want to say grind, but just do it. I mean, I think the quiet person who's doing the work is probably going to be the most successful and the most dangerous when it comes to competition because they're tuning everything else out. This is your life. This is your shot. These are your options. This is for you. This is not for your parents. This is not for anyone else. This is for you. I tell my daughter this all the time. You have the opportunity. You're in school right now. You're going to go to college. Have the opportunity. Take it. Take it because once You have more time behind you than in front of you. You're gonna really regret a lot. So go for it.
That's awesome. Well, again, we thank you so much for getting up early. This has been such a joy and just such a role model for so many people. Even though I know that's what you never set out to do, it's just unbelievable what you've accomplished. One of the most accomplished people we've ever had on this platform, and I just thank you so much. But again, the only black woman to ever pilot the U-2 spy plane, all the way from Roseville, California, Colonel Merrill Tengesdal. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today.
Thank you for having me today, and everyone have a good day.
I
Oh,
talk to
hit
you
me up
soon, my
on
friend.
Instagram if you have any questions. Dragon Lady
Yeah, and
788.
yeah, and we will share that with everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See ya.